Hello and welcome to Turn Up Bear Down. It's time to talk week 3 and talk about the Chicago Bears versus the Denver Broncos. But first, we have our weekly reaction. This week, the Chiefs took on the Bears in Kansas City, and it was all Chiefs. It was 41-0 at one point. I actually was there. It was a fun game to be at, a good atmosphere, but not for the Bears. The Bears did not play their best. Justin Fields made a couple good plays here and there, but overall had a pretty subpar performance. Even for him, under 100 yards passing, did have a touchdown and a pick, and a couple good rushes, but overall he was contained. The Chiefs' defense looked really good, and the Bears just couldn't get anything going on offense. On the other side, we could not stop Patrick Mahomes. He was an all-pro, an all MVP like performance, and he just looked really, really good. Aside from that, it was just a nightmare. But with a new week, sparks new hope. And so this week, the Bears play a team who also struggled last week. The Broncos gave up 70 points to the Miami Dolphins, which is just insane to see in an NFL game. The record actually is 73 by the Chicago Bears back in the 40s, but the Broncos were that close, even with subs and backups, scoring most of the points in the second half. So this week, the path to victory for both teams. Let's talk about the Broncos. The Broncos, as long as they execute their offensive game plan well, they should win this game. The problem is the Bears' defense is just not very good. The third down efficiency of the Bears right now is 60% of their opponents are converting third downs. And so that is just a ridiculous stat. So 60% of the third downs faced by Bears opponents are converted. And that is why they've been giving up so many points. 38 week 1, 27 week 2, and 41 week 3. We are the second worst in points allowed per game. The Broncos actually are the worst in 40.5 points per game. So could be a high scoring affair. If the Broncos run the ball well, they'll control the clock, and that should also open up the passing game for Russell Wilson. And the Bears defense cannot stop the run either. And then lastly, for the Broncos, can they force Fields to throw in the middle of the field? As I was doing some research, I discovered that Justin Fields, when forced to throw to the middle of the field and actually throw down the field, he has struggled mightily. When the edges of the field are open and he can run and use his legs, he's much more effective. But Todd Bowles and the Buccaneers week 2 did this to him. It was very effective in the game. For the Bears, aside from what I said with third down defense, their defense needs to step up. There's just no other way around it. One of the worst defenses in the NFL, giving up tons of yards, tons of points. And it makes it really hard for the offense when the pressure is always on to go down the field and score. And so, even if Justin Fields was literally playing MVP like this year, the Bears still could be 0-3 because of the way their defense is played. And so, it'll be interesting to see what happens with the defense. Not to make life easier, Jaquan Brisker is going to be in the game, but Eddie Jackson is not. Jalen Johnson is out. Kyler Gordon's been on our IR, and so this secondary that is facing Patrick Mahomes is facing Russell Wilson this week. This secondary is a bunch of backups and third stringers, essentially at this point. I mean, the Bears are scraping the bottom of the barrel with where they're at. Lastly, can a wide receiver or tight end get open? So the plenty of film that I've watched, Fields doesn't always look the best and he misses open receivers. But for the most part, nobody's running routes that are creating any sort of separation. And so it really is a lot harder than it looks for Fields. And people love to point out an open receiver, but that doesn't help when the play didn't develop in the right way. And so those are the keys for both teams. And it will be interesting to see how the approach changes as the game goes on. Let's talk about some impact players. So Russell Wilson, obviously, for the Broncos, he has had a nice season, but the Broncos haven't really been able to win many games so far. They gave up 35 to the Commanders and again 70 last week, and didn't play too well in week 1 either. But Russell Wilson, can he get it done? Can he find his receivers and create points for the Broncos? Patrick Surtain II, one of the greatest maybe quarterbacks in the NFL. That might be a little too soon, but I feel like he's a great back, defensive back, and he should have his way with whomever he's lining up against, and probably shutting down DJ Moore in this one, which will only make matters harder for Justin Fields. And then Javonte Williams, running back for the Broncos, having an okay season so far. He hasn't really done too much, but we'll see what he does and if he can get this running game open again to set up play action for the Broncos. For the Bears, Justin Fields, again, every week he's going to be the huge guy under the microscope of is it going to get done or not. And hopefully for Fields, this will be a breakout game and that he will feel comfortable. He will not feel robotic as he's described, and we'll be hoping to see that Fields plays well. Tyreek Stevenson, hopefully he's back in the secondary. Again, when I was doing the roster report or injury report, he was going to play with Jalen Johnson and Kyler Gordon and many others being out. Eddie Jackson as well. It's just kind of a who's who with the Bears secondary. And so we'll see if he can be a difference maker. And then even though DJ Moore would be go up against Patrick Surtain, can he get open? Can he get some catches? Can he get some targets? Because obviously he's going to increase the Bears' chunk plays if he's in the game, if he's making plays. But again, it just doesn't feel like he's open. And so we'll hope to see him open in this one. Specific predictions in this one: will Bagent get in the Bears' backup quarterback after having a lot of speculation around Fields of is he the guy? And maybe if it comes to a point where it's like he just can't get it done, we put in somebody else. I'm actually going to say no to that. Russell Wilson will get more than 1.5 touchdowns. I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say he gets at least 2, especially with our defense the way it is. The over-under at 46.5. Both teams give up between 35 and 40 points, so you would think that even something like a 27-23 game, the over would hit in this one. Claypool, will he get 3.5 catches? I'm going to say he does, even though he's made kind of a stink in the locker room saying that he doesn't think the Bears are utilizing him in the right way. Maybe that's a way of getting fired up and getting those 4 catches in this one. And will the Bears take 3.5 or more sacks? I'm going to say under. I'm going to say they take 3 sacks tomorrow. I think that Justin Fields will still struggle with that, but not enough to take the over. So this week, the stumper will just have to be my own thought. But if you are a Bears fan out there, you will remember that back in 2009, the first year that Jay Cutler was with the Chicago Bears, we played against the Denver Broncos. And in that game, Devin Hester returned what for a touchdown? So what did he return for a touchdown? And I'll give you a second. And the answer is going to be that he had 2 returns in that game for a touchdown. One was a kick return and one was a punt return. And the Bears ended up winning that one in overtime over Jake. Actually, I said that wrong. It was 2008, and he returned those against the Broncos, who had Jay Cutler at the time. Crazy game. And then one other crazy Broncos-Bears game was when Eddie Pinheiro and the 2019 Bears went into Denver and won a game on a last-second 52-yard field goal, I believe, right at the buzzer. They were up 13-3, but the Broncos took the lead towards the end of the game. And Eddie Pinheiro knocked the field goal through at the end of the game for the Bears to win. So let's go to our prediction. In this one, I'm going to take the Broncos 27-23. The Bears have not given me hope, not given me a reason to pick them in any game the rest of the year, especially to this point. Therefore, I just feel like with the way our defense is, even if our offense plays all right, that our defense can't stop anyone, can't slow anyone down. Too many third downs converted. The Broncos will have enough to get it done. And hopefully the Bears can prove me wrong, but I just have lost a lot of confidence watching them in the last few weeks. And so that is going to do it for this week's edition of Turn Up Bear Down. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll hope that you enjoy the game.